Drills Talk, episode 16. In this episode, we're going to discuss the top 5 reasons you are stunting your growth. This is based off of a blog I wrote a year back entitled Confirmation Bias. The link can be found in the description. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed. Like, leave a comment, even if you're just saying hi. Let's get started. Number one. Number one is a concept called cognitive dissonance. It's basically when a person holds 2 or more contradictory thoughts. So let's say you're walking your dog and, the dog poops, and for some reason you just forgot, the little baggies this time, and you just leave it and you go home, right? You go home and then you come home and you're starting to feel bad, and then you talk yourself out of it because you say, well, it's okay this one time because I usually clean it up. And then it's just, nagging at you. Hey, somebody might step in that and it's all because of you. And you say, okay, but it's all right this time because, I remember even cleaning up someone else's before, and maybe someone will clean up mine. You basically talking yourself out of the guilt with 2 different, of course, contradictory thoughts and ideas. And this is how people basically stunt their own growth. Now, the concept of, picking up after your dog, of course you should pick up after your dog, but, let's translate that into life, and you making a mistake that or you're doing something that is wrong, and you can simply just talk yourself out of it and make yourself feel that it's okay. Where are you getting as a person? You do something that you wouldn't want to be done to you, and instead of maybe apologizing or going to that person and explaining how you did them wrong and apologizing after that, you just talk to yourself and get to the point of, oh, well, it's okay this time because such and such and such and such. You're explaining your horrible behavior away. You're explaining your guilt away, and you're giving yourself an out continuously. And if you always give yourself an out, guess what you're not doing? You're not growing. You're not getting better because you never quite do anything wrong, If you do anything wrong, you actually tell yourself that it's okay this time, this one time. You don't usually do it. You're a better person, and then everything is great. I have issues with that because I'm really big on trust. And if a person can talk themselves out of something that they did that was really bad or, even maybe unforgivable, and they have trouble even taking that in as something that they did wrong, that's a huge red flag. I actually remember that and put that, on a list of what their personality traits are and what they may be capable of doing. And that's just me. Maybe that's a little much. Maybe that's an extra step, but I tend to like to know exactly who's around me and who I should keep from around me. And if I can help it, those people are not around because they can do something horrible to you. You'll never know, or you find out years later, but they'll just talk themselves out of it and they'll smile in your face the next day because they've already, felt bad and then talked themselves out of it with the, cognitive dissonance of the 2 contradictory ideas. Yeah, it's bad, but you're not a bad person and you wouldn't do it again. And they're basically having the conversation that they should be having with you with themselves. And of course, they always win that conversation and they go on and feel great the next day. I don't like that. That's hard for me to deal with. I want an up and up person. I want a person to make a mistake and say, hey, Drills, I made a mistake, or this is what happened, and my fault, or my apologies, and it won't happen again, and give me the choice of forgiving or not. Don't not give me that option. That's hard for me to deal with. Still is. So, if you agree with that, just let me know that I'm not alone. So. Number 2, confirmation bias. And this is what I actually wrote the blog on, that the link is in the description for. Confirmation bias is the tendency to start, search, or interpret and recall information that confirms what they already think. So basically, let's say a religious person. If you're arguing with a religious person and, good luck with that argument. But if you're arguing and you're in a religious conversation or argument and you have a question, they go to their scripture, whatever that scripture may be, to find the answer, but only that scripture. And I'm like, well, how can you actually explain something if you only go into one source? Like, who looks up something and finds one source and goes with it? Like, that's not how you do it. That's not the way that you actually, form a good decision, or you form a good answer, or you formulate something that you can share. It's like, okay, well, if your only source is what's telling you, one thing, and then there's 5 to 10 to 20 to 25 sources telling you another, why are we only addressing the source that agrees with you? That doesn't seem a little odd. That doesn't seem, maybe something that can stunt your growth. That doesn't seem a little, I don't know, illogical. I don't know why it doesn't. But yeah, confirmation bias is something that we all do. So let's just say we're having a sports argument and we think that LeBron James is better than Jordan, and we're disregarding, all of Jordan's great accolades, and we are, pushing up LeBron's. And we tend to do that all the time. It's like, okay, well, yeah, Jordan won 6 championships and he never lost in the finals. LeBron did lose in the finals, actually more than he's won in the finals. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to talk about the talent that he played, and we're going to downplay the talent that Jordan played. And I'm actually on the other side of the argument. I actually think LeBron is better, but I'm just, given that argument is that that's what I do and that's what other people do when they're arguing. So confirmation bias happens all the time, and we have to catch ourselves. If, say, we feel a certain way about something, maybe something political, it could be something religious, it could be something philosophical, but if we don't agree with it, we may even go as far as to stop reading it. It doesn't agree. I don't agree with this. I'm gonna stop reading it. I'm watching a video and it's stating things that make me feel uncomfortable, and it's questioning my thoughts and something that I believed for years. And instead of watching it and, kind of taking it all in, I'm going to stop watching it. It's making me feel uncomfortable. That's confirmation bias. It's not only going to look for something that agrees with you, it's shunning everything that disagrees. And that stunts your growth. How can you get better if you're not hearing any opposing arguments? I don't care if it's 2 + 2 = 5. You can say, okay, well, I don't agree with that. I want to hear what they're saying and how they got that extra 1. Where are they getting that extra 1 for? Like, I don't understand how they got that. I know for sure that 2 + 2 is 4. They're saying 5. Let's see how they got it. And you can listen to what they're saying and you can say, okay, well, logically, that doesn't make any sense. They're getting this extra 1 from such and such and such and such. And that may enable you to understand the next person you're seeing and you're having a conversation with, and you're saying, okay, well, yeah, and 3 + 3 is 6. And they're saying, oh, no, 3 + 3 is 7. And you can now understand where they're getting that extra 1 from, and maybe have a conversation, and you can convince them that that extra 1 doesn't even belong there. Oh, well, I didn't never see it that way. Now you can have some constructive conversation because you actually listen to the last person and you understand why this person is getting, what they're getting or thinking the way they're thinking. But most of us can't even have a conversation where the other person doesn't agree with us, which is pointless of having a conversation. I don't need to sit down and agree with someone that I'm talking to all the time. Where's the growth there? There isn't any. It's just confirmation. Confirmation is not growth. I can measure myself. Yeah, I'm 6'1". Hey, I'm 6'1". Yes, I'm still 6'1". Okay, great. What is that doing? Nothing. There's no growth there. But hey, not only am I 6'1", okay, 6 feet 1 inches. I know how many inches I am. Okay, how many centimeters? What is it in meters? Like, can you discuss that? You can't speak in any other way. You can't talk about anything else because you don't allow yourself that information, and you don't allow that information to come in because it might make you feel wrong. Or you might say, okay, well, yeah, I was measuring myself in inches, but, for some reason, I don't know, man, I just, I thought that the ruler was 10 inches and it's 12. So, man, I'm nowhere near 6'1". It's just, that's a way, way crazy description because I'm actually 6'1". But it's a crazy description, but, you can say, okay, well, hey, yeah, this can happen. Probably not with height because, your ruler and the rulers are 12 inches. But with other things, it's like, hey, the history of your people, whoever your people are. I grew up in the school system where the school system told me that all my people, all of them, came from Africa. And I was probably in my late 20s before I was told that, my people were here. And, it can really throw you, for a loop. That was a huge curveball. And I'm like, wait, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Let me look up some more stuff. Let me dig a little deeper. Oh, yeah, well, looks like, even, some scholars are going against what this whole, transatlantic slave trade statements were, and the numbers are a little skewed, and looks like a very, very, very small number actually came to the States. How would they populate the entire U.S. now? We're scattered all over the place. And, even the ones who came here came in, Virginia area, Carolinas. How do we end up in California, Nevada, Arizona, the West Coast? Like, how'd that get populated? Northern, areas, all over New York area, Illinois, the Midwest. How'd we get up there? We all migrated? Probably not. But, this is information that if I wouldn't have received and gave a listen to, I wouldn't have got to the point of digging deeper and learning. Say, hey, just because something's in the history books doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% true. Wow, maybe I should question more things. Maybe I should question everything and just, get to the point of, okay, I'm going to question everything. And I'm going to look at, opposing arguments of things that I've always thought was true. I just took it as true. I heard it all my life. And I just said, you know what? Yeah, I've been hearing it for 18, 20, 25 years. I'm going to just believe it as fact. But now I'm going to look for things that says, you know what? That's not factual. And I'm going to tell you why. Let me tell you why. Let me show you why. And if you can tell me and show me why, then I'm pretty apt to, letting go of the belief. Now, most of us won't. And I'm here and making this video because I want you to be aware of confirmation bias and knowing that, hey, this is not helping me grow. This is making me stay exactly where I am. Now, it's hard to see because it's not a physical thing. It's more of a, a mental thing. But if you're not growing mentally, what's the point of being here? You're not learning anything new. 20 years of life, 30 years of life, and you're done learning? Like, does that make any sense? That doesn't make much sense, does it? You're never done learning. So why do we have all these things that we accept and we don't allow to be questioned? Doesn't make much sense. So that's number 2, confirmation bias. Look it up. It's a great concept. Maybe you can talk about it with your friends or your family or your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever that may be. It's a great conversation to have, and it may open both of your eyes and make you guys better people, and maybe you can grow together mentally. Number 3 is holding on to trauma. So, you go through some things, maybe you yourself, or maybe you'll see this in your significant other, but they always go back to, something that occurred in their childhood as to why they're where they are. And you don't want to be disrespectful and insensitive, but you're seeing that, hey, every time something happens, you bring this up as to why you're handling it the way you're handling it. And that is not an excuse anymore. It's like you're holding on to this thing. Okay, well, yes, it happened. It did happen. But why is it still controlling you 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later? It doesn't make much sense. Have you ever considered letting it go? Like, yes, it happened. Yes, it's part of your past, but it shouldn't be controlling your present. Like, why is that? Can we talk about that? And please don't take my questions as disrespect or insensitivity. I just want to bring it to your attention that, if you can always grab onto this as to why you're acting out or why you're not behaving as an adult should behave, maybe if you let it go, you act as an adult and you handle issues better. Because just because something occurred to you or occurred, in your life when you were a teen or in your early 20s doesn't make, you acting like this at 40, at 45, at 50, okay. You don't get a free pass for that. It sucked that happened to you. It's unfortunate that happened to you. But why does the person that you're interacting with now have to deal with your sporadic craziness or your, complete shutdown, the opposite, your complete shutdown every time, a conversation comes? And then when we talk about it and you're finally ready to talk about it, you calm down or you actually open back up and you say, hey, well, this is just how I was raised, or this is, I've been acting like this, and ever since such and such and such and such, this is how I handle. Okay, cool. Why? Why are you still doing that? Ever since what? That occurred. You handled it like that as a young adult. Why are you still handling it that way now? You're grown. Life has occurred. You move on. Other things have occurred, but, you're still holding on to this, and that's not allowing you to grow. That's your crutch. And the fact that you're continuously leaning on it, you're not growing, and that crutch still fits. You grow, that crutch too small, useless, right? But you can't let it go. You had a death in the family or something unfortunate happened to you as a kid. Nobody helped you through college. You had to struggle. Maybe you were homeless. All these things happen to people all the time, and I'm not belittling it because it happens to everybody. I'm just saying that these things occur, and people get over it, or people get through it, and they don't use it as a crutch. And I don't think you should either. If you do, and maybe no one brought it to your attention, hopefully this can bring it to your attention in a kid glove sort of way, and it doesn't feel like you're being attacked. But you holding on to this trauma is really holding you back. And if you can work on letting go, I think that you will be a lot better off handling the problems that are coming to you in the future, because of course they're coming. They don't stop. Number 4, addiction. So addiction is the hugest issue with addiction is that normally people don't know that they're addicted. Or they tell themselves, which, number 1, cognitive dissonance, is that, oh, well, yeah, I'm drinking. I may be drinking a lot, but, I can handle it, and I'm not getting drunk, and, it's no big deal. Or, yeah, I gamble a lot of money and I can lose a lot of money, and I know that that's a bad thing, but I can win it back because I've won before. It's no big deal. I have a job, things like that. You're just talking yourself out of it, and then you have sexual addictions. There's a lot of different things that you can be addicted to, but what addiction does is take time. It takes a lot of time away. If you're drinking, you're drunk, you're not doing anything productive in that time. If you're an alcoholic and you're not drunk, you probably don't feel the way you should feel, or you're feeling things that you don't feel when you're drunk, and you don't want to feel those things. If you're gambling and you're losing money, not only did you lose the money, but you're not in a good mood now. And you're not in a good mood until you have the next opportunity to make that money back. But then you lose again. And now you're in a bad mood. Not even, a win can help you, because even if you win, you're still behind because you lost the last 2 times. And it's just, look at all that time that you've lost. Look at all that pain that you've endured, or you tried to numb, and the reason you're trying to numb it is the addiction itself. You're losing money gambling. That's why you feel bad. Yeah, you would feel great if you won, but you didn't. You're drinking. Okay, well, you being drunk is numbing your feelings and getting you away from problems that you have to deal with, and you're not dealing with it. The sexual addiction, it's not even a sexual thing, which is crazy. I actually just read up on that. It's just like this overwhelming void that you have to fill, and it's filled sexually. And I didn't know that. And I understand, alcoholism and gambling more because I grew up around it. But or narcotic addiction. I actually grew up around that also. But the sexual thing is new to me. But you think about it all, and it's a void. You're gambling, and it's like, okay, well, I lost this money, but the next bet you can make is like this temporary relief because you have the opportunity again to make the money, and that's what makes it dangerous. And of course, every addiction is dangerous, but again, think about the time. I'm kind of focused on the time that's lost. So, if you're in a narcotics and you're chasing that high, while you're chasing it, you're only worried about getting that high, right? When you have that high, you're good, but everything that's around you is gone, right? You don't feel anything. If you have kids, you can't take care of them very well, but you're enjoying that high because that's the escape from everything that you had to handle. If you're drunk, that's the escape from everything you had to handle. If you're gambling, that chance of winning is that escape. While that game is still playing and you still have a chance to win, you feel good. But the minute that team is losing, or for sure you're going to lose your money, now you're down again and you're in a bad mood, and you're going to be in a bad mood until you have that opportunity to gamble again and have that chance of winning. It sucks. All right, it's an ugly thing. And I'm understanding it more and more, that I look into it. It definitely stunts your growth. You don't have time for anything else. It consumes you. And if you have any of those addictions, you have to seek help. And if you can't afford professional help, try to seek out free help. There may be YouTube videos. You're already on YouTube if you're watching this. Stop the video and go find something that can help you. Come back later, check out my videos. But, I'm sure there's something that can help you out there, and, go help yourself and come back to me later. Thanks for helping yourself. Number 5, indecisiveness. Indecisiveness kind of keeps you still also. Somebody asks you, hey, what do you want to eat? And you have no idea. And it could be twofold. It could be, okay, well, you don't have an appetite or a craving for anything, or you just have too many options. And usually it's the too many options thing, because people just can't decide when they have so much to decide from. And I guess that's a luxury, but it's definitely not helping us. It's holding us back. Again, it's wasting time. Similar to the addiction, it's just not as much time. Well, it could be more, because if your indecisiveness is about what you want to do in life, you can waste decades doing that. You can waste decades jumping from job to job to job to job to job, and before you know it, you're like, hey, if I would have stayed at one job, I could be retiring in 3 or 4 years, but you didn't. So I guess I would say addiction is more serious of an issue, but the amount of time that could be wasted with indecisiveness is similar. Indecisiveness can be, hey, I really want to start this business. I really want to be on my own, and never actually doing it. Like, you never get to the point of being so frustrated with the job you stop, because that job is making it so easy on you. That job is giving you enough money to, go on vacation, you're eating, you have your car, your kids are fine. If you have kids, you can relax. You don't have enough to not work for 6 months, but you have enough to, as long as you have that job, live comfortably. And that is causing indecisiveness. You can be in a bad relationship and want to leave the relationship. It's probably time to leave the relationship, but you're indecisive and you hold on to that wanting to leave so long that a couple of good things happen. A couple of good days, maybe a couple of good weeks. And then you're like, you know what? This is why I'm in a relationship. And then you get a reminder a couple of weeks later, after that good month, and you're like, man, I should really leave this relationship. And of course you don't. And it just keeps on going and going and going. And before you know it, you're in a 20-year relationship. And now you're holding on because you were in a 20-year relationship. Oh, it's been 20 years. Indecisiveness could do it to you. Let's say You started the business and you probably need a little help now. Maybe it's time for a partner. Maybe it's time for an investor. And you only have in your head that you're either splitting the money or you're creating debt that you have to pay back. And instead of thinking about how much of a benefit this can be, and maybe this business can, blow up twofold in revenue or threefold, fivefold in revenue, and paying it back or splitting it in half is not a big deal, you're thinking about, man, I really like owning 100% of this company. And while you're thinking, that partner has now partnered with somebody else. That investor has invested in somebody else. And now you're stuck again. And you're like, man, yeah, I have 100%, but I'm working very, very hard. I'm doing the same thing. I'm maxed out. I can't make any more money, but you have 100% of that. And if that's what you wanted, great. But if that's not what you wanted, your indecisiveness just destroyed your opportunity to make more money than you would have made with a partner or an investor. Indecisiveness can kill. And it's happened to me before. Indecisiveness has really cost me a couple of opportunities. But I learned from them. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to make a decision. I don't go to sleep with decisions. I don't sleep on anything. Like, you're not thinking while you sleep. So that's just procrastination. So what I do is when I get something that I need to make a decision on, I'm sitting down, I'm pro and conning. I am, thinking of, what can happen. All right, I make this decision. How does that play out? I make this decision. How's that going to play out? And I make it, and that's it. Because I know more questions and more decisions are needed to be made tomorrow, and I don't want to add this one on. So I don't sleep on things, and maybe that's something you can take with you. Unless you get it, right before you're going to sleep, I would say you should deal with it and try to make a decision before you go to sleep. Sleeping on it doesn't work. It's just an excuse that we use. No great decision is made. You're going to wake up. If you had a bad amount of sleep, you're going to be in a bad mood, and you're probably not going to do something. If you had a great night of sleep, you're going to be in a good mood, and you're probably going to say yes. It's not really a way to make decisions. So just keep that in mind. Drills Talk, episode 16. These are the top 5 reasons you are stunting your growth. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's drills.com. Check this out. These drills.